right, let's check the LANFest. Make sure we are showing up clearly. Actually, let me turn down the sound. It's like a 25-second ad you have to watch before it works on LANFest, the LANFest Twitch. It's actually a really nice ad too. Looks like there's about 56 viewers right now. I want to make sure everyone can see us, or at least I can see it on Twitch before we get started. And then I'm going to make a tweet. I have a tweet ready to go. I'm going to just click record, click tweet, and start.
I feel like this
Oh,
is
there
Hollywood
we
Squares.
are.
Yeah.
Okay, everything is clear. I'm going to hit that tweet button. Yay! All right. I guess we can get started. So the bottom right block is my the Zoom is being hosted on another computer because that's my free account is on that computer. So yes, thank you everyone for being here to watch the live panel of our amazing guests here, where you will learn about how to grow your brand and followers on Twitch. First off, what is the purpose of doing this? A little bit of background. LANFest is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated to empowering gaming communities, and I love video games, and supporting charitable efforts by creating unique gaming experiences. I recently joined the organization to help plan out the educational initiatives to plan out workshops and panels that will help other gamers like myself and us, all of us. I'm also in the software engineering industry and a developer advocate at a media technology company called Cloudinary. And I'm a huge advocate when it comes to helping others. So this is what brings me here hosting this. So this brings me to introducing our panelists here. We can start off with each of you telling us the name that you go by, how long have you been streaming for, and share something interesting about you. And we'll start out with the top left corner of my view, or the Twitch view. Chase.
Hey, Tessa. Hey, everybody. My name's Chase, but you will find me on Twitch as Geek Gamer TV. I'm a 41-year-old grizzled veteran of gaming and streaming. I've been doing this for 15 years, and thanks to another awesome LAN party called PDX LAN, I really got started doing that. And so I'm very excited and happy to hang out with all you guys here today on the cast. And I guess something interesting about me is I am a huge competitive pinball player. I won a big top tournament a few years ago out in Pittsburgh. Actually took all of my streaming equipment across the country on airplanes, crates, you name it, to put off the first ever big streaming broadcast of competitive pinball at a facility in Pittsburgh. So that's one interesting thing about me, but I'm very happy to be here and really looking forward to all this.
Thank you. Pinball is fun. I used to do that when I
Oh,
was
yeah.
younger. Put in the quarters and play, and then
Oh, yeah.
lose
And
them.
then you can earn free games. It's awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. And Katie.
Hi, I'm Kate. I stream
Kate.
as AF Kate, and I've been streaming for about almost a year and a half now. Coming up next month, will be a year and a half. And I kind of pivoted from mostly gaming to body art. I do all kinds of optical illusion body paints, things like that. So it's a big change from gaming. I still do game. It is just one of the things I love the most. I just don't do it too often on stream anymore. But I guess something interesting about me would be I have been to over 20 countries. I love to travel.
Wow.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. And Chaddington.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chad, but people call me Chaddington. I'm also known as Rain Owl 808. I am 25 years old, and I just started streaming. I think my first stream was February 24th of this year. And something interesting about me would be I just got my college degree 2 weeks ago.
Yay.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And Gabby.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gabby, though I go by Simply Gabby on Twitch. I've been streaming since, I think, 2015, but I started off very casually at first. I've been off and on for a few years, and I would say I've just gotten serious about it maybe within the last year or so. And a fun fact about me is that I actually do video game commentary for competitive Pokemon tournaments. If you've ever watched Pokemon battles play out competitively, there's a good chance my voice is behind it. And that's also how I got into streaming too. So it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Thank you. And for the Twitch viewers, if anyone has questions, you're welcome to post it right in the chat, and I will peek my eyes over and take a look. J Magic said it's a magic chair. I think because my chair keeps tweaking out.
Right.
But I think this background actually looks better than my other background with a green screen that doesn't really fit the entire background. I just need to stop moving. Just stop moving. If I move too much, just say, freeze, stop. So as like career or with streaming, paths are like sometimes not intentional. Sometimes like, something will like lead you there or accidental. Did you just wake up one day and be like, I'm gonna start streaming all the time? Or like what motivated or inspired you to get into streaming, and how did you learn to get started? And if you don't want to answer, that's fine. If you want to answer, you can just jump in.
Anybody? Or
The first person to make the sound.
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, I mean, for me personally, it got started before any of this started, before Twitch and streaming, if you will. I was a little boy with a cassette tape recorder, and I used to always record my own radio shows. I would record, fake commercials and fake play-by-play commentary of baseball and wrestling and all of these things that I just truly loved and enjoy. And so that passion was always there, kind of fostering and building inside me. And then fast forward to about 15 years ago, I was at a LAN party in Portland and was talking with one of my friends. His name's Kyle Rumley, code name's Death, and we were chit chatting and talking about podcasting and how podcasting is the newest, biggest, latest thing. And we started doing a podcast together, just an audio only podcast. I would record on my end, he would record on his end, send the audio files, and we would put that stuff together. And slowly but surely, thanks to that kind of passion of talking about gaming and technology, it fostered that podcast into video, and then YouTube videos, and then wow, we're streaming gameplay now. We're streaming the games that we're playing and doing the commentary and chatting about that. And so the whole Geek Gamer TV thing got born from talking about geek stuff and gaming stuff. And I really didn't want it to be just about me, and that's why like the name of the channel isn't Chase's Gaming or whatever. I really wanted to try to foster a community of just really cool gamers and geeks, place to hang out, chat, for everybody of all ages. When it's late at night, sure, we may have a more of a mature audience, a few little F bombs here and there, but other than that, it's just really that's where it came and culminated. And now, thanks to cheaper technology and more affordable technology, we're all able to do this. And so one of the things I try to do in this is to try to help others out and try to share what I know, what I've picked up along the way. In my normal day job, I'm a broadcast engineer for a television station. So I get to see the high-end, super high-end technology, and then I try to figure out what can I do with that high-end technology and adapt it and make it easier for all of us to understand and all of us to do. And that's why I do it. That's where it came from. And that's why I still do it today.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I can go next, I
Yes,
guess.
yes.
Unless there's follow-up. I don't want to cut in. But I kind of have a similar story, which is why I wanted to jump in next. My motivation to start streaming wasn't actually to start with a community aspect or anything, though I had been involved with podcasts within the competitive Pokemon community for a couple of years. I back in 2015, I was competing at tournaments and I was having a lot of trouble with anxiety and being in front of other people and like playing at my A game. So I heard about Twitch and I was like, oh, I can just put a camera on me and it's like I'm playing in front of people. I'll just do this until I get over myself. And it turns out from there, I actually had a passion for it. I love talking with people. I love educating on how to play Pokemon as a competitive game. I haven't really branched out into other areas yet, but my little corner of the streaming world I find is sort of comforting in that way. And it's always nice to like connect with other people who share those kind of passions with you, but also be able to be there as a voice to say, yes, you can jump into this crazy thing if you want to. Here's how you can get started, and don't worry, I was there too. We'll get through it together, kind of thing. And yeah, that's how I basically ended up to where I'm at today.
And thank you. And one thing that's great about being more comfortable on camera is just understanding that the audience just cares about your passion and your drive and your experiences, not whether how professional are you with public speaking and how perfect you look on stage or camera. That doesn't matter. It matters just caring about the viewers, caring about others. So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, and also people don't care as much whether or not you play the game perfectly, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I find that's something that a lot of people, I think about before they start streaming is, oh, well, I'm not a platinum ranked league player. Like maybe I shouldn't stream, kind of thing. But that's not true at all. There's beginners everywhere. And sometimes even just hanging out in a group of beginners, like that's how you get better. You just have fun, you play, you make mistakes, and you learn. So.
Definitely. And with gaming, it's like kind of like a community that gets built through that chat and you start seeing the familiar faces and then they keep coming back. So it's awesome. All right. Katie or Chattington?
Guess I'll go. Um, I have kind of a similar motivation for starting as well. I suffer from some anxiety and depression, and I had my daughter about 3 years ago, and those things were pretty amplified after I had her, and I felt a little bit of a loss of identity. And so I decided to start streaming because I thought, well, I need some social interaction and also to just, I guess, rediscover my passions again, and just have something a little bit for myself. So that's just how I went into it. I wasn't really sure what I was going to stream. It didn't really matter too much to me. I just wanted to I actually started as a Switch, a Nintendo Switch streamer, and streamed a lot of like indie games on the console and stuff. And then it just moved sort of organically into different games depending on what the community was into playing. And as things sort of grew, I just went with it and stuck with, I guess, what I wanted to do and what the community was feeling at the time. And so that's what motivates me is just it it keeps me sort of sane, especially right now. Like I I don't we're all kind of going through a difficult time, but it helps me a lot on a daily basis to just connect with people. And now that I'm um into my art on stream, it's just like exactly what I need. So I love it. I love the community aspect and it helps my mental health. So wins all around, I guess.
That's very beautiful. And I can relate with after having kids, it kind of just messes with your chemistry in your head and throws things off. But you recover
Yeah.
and you learn how to grow stronger. And I notice you mentioned like going between games over time, kind of organically. I'm sure this is going to be a question that a lot of people will have. Like, do you lose followers from switching games, or do you gain more, or do you lose some and gain more? How does that like transition work?
I think it's kind of a mix of both. So there are some people who are there to watch a specific game. There are some people who come to your stream who might be new, who just want to watch a certain thing one day, but there are other people who are there just for you. They don't even care what you do or what you play. So it's kind of a balance. And when you switch, sometimes you'll see a shift, but I feel like over time, it's not that huge of a thing. You just have to go in with the expectation that yeah, things might feel a little different with the community when you shift games. But I don't think that's a bad thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I'm sure that's a relief for some people to hear. And Chaddington or Chad, how did you get into
Um,
streaming?
well, it first started off with my psychology degree. I mean, I love connecting with people and I love building relationships. And I think the hardest thing about technology is creating a organic and genuine relationship over technology. And so I saw Twitch as a outlet for that and an opportunity for me to express my competitiveness. I was a athlete for most of my life, and so when I first started streaming, I did some research, and I saw different streamers and how they're so hype all the time, and let's get some hype in the chat, let's get some love in the chat, um, and then when I first started streaming, I kind of got lost with myself in a way that I felt like I didn't belong to a community or the Twitch community. And then I found the LGBTQA tab and I found FPS shooters. And what I realized is that trying to make my viewers happy instead of myself was a wrong idea. And so I had to take a step back and you know what? I'm not like these other streamers where I'm hype all the time. I'm interacting with my viewers. And don't get me wrong, that's a very big part and a very important part of Twitch streaming. But at the same time, I wasn't happy. And so, I took a step back and said, you know what? I love Apex. I'm a very competitive gamer and I want to be able to give that to my viewers. And what Kate was trying to say is that going off of her, there's something for everyone on Twitch, no matter what it is. I don't want to get into detail, but yeah, there's something for everyone on Twitch, and I think that's an amazing way in expressing everyone's weirdness and coolness. So
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. And you mentioned to like not stream for the viewers, but stream for yourself. And it goes like that with writing. Don't try to write and please for others. Write for yourself.
Mhm.
There's like so many people streaming out there, like, and there's many people like struggling to gain followers. Like, what are some tips on creating unique personal brand, like a very unique like self? Of course, the main thing would be like being yourself or the brand that you created as a streamer that makes you stand out from others. Like, how do all of you like stand out from other streamers?
Well,
Chase?
oh, go ahead. Was
Yeah.
someone saying
I
something?
was just going to start at the top left corner.
Oh, Chase for the block. Yeah, we're
Chase.
playing Hollywood Squares here. Um, no,
And go.
here we go. No, I mean, for me, it's never been about the view count or the follow count. I mean, like I said, I was starting to do this stuff before anybody had any way of even measuring statistics, and downloads of podcasts and things like that. I've always seen Twitch and the community at large as a great outlet to share who you are as a person and just show what you enjoy. One of the things on my channel, I don't lock myself to any specific game. I mean, I've played everything from a game that's 7-8 years old, NCAA football to the latest Call of Duty to Battlefield. I mean, to all these things, and I play because I know there's going to be some people out there that are going to discover the community and see how we are, and and really just see how I am in interactivity. uh, I think to give tips to anybody thinking about how do I gain followers, how do I get more people to watch me. um, First off, just don't. I know it's easy to say this, but don't worry about those things. Just worry on, not even worry, just work on you, and know that what you do, make yourself happy. Work on that. Whatever you enjoy doing. If you enjoy playing Pokemon, go for it. Share that with the world. If you enjoy being creative and doing some incredible art, go with that. Whatever you feel, don't feel like what you are doing, you have to change who you are to conform to whatever you see out there. And I think when you show yourself and show who you are to everybody, and you're not lying about it because you're showing who you are, people are attracted to that. People will see that, hey, this is a group of people that I respect, that is cool, and it's like one big family. And that's, if there's any advice I would give, I mean, it's taken me 15 years to get to this point. I haven't even cracked 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers. I don't really care. The way I look at it is slow, steady, have fun with what you're doing. I think that's the most important part. It's always about community to me. Everything else will fall into place after that.
That actually answers one of the streamers' questions. Do you seem to gain or lose followers when you become really honest? Is it an EBB and flow? I'm not sure what that part means,
Ebb and
but
flow. Yeah.
ebb and flow. And
Yeah.
you basically said just be yourself, be you, and not focus on your following count on with that, and people will organically follow you over time. So
Right.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's like when you're out there in the real world and you meet people at work, at the store, whatever you're doing, no one's going to go, "Oh, what's your rating? What's how many friends do you have?" No, no
Right.
one. It's not about that. It's just a matter of who you are. Be respectful. You'll get the respect back, and that's how you organically grow in a great positive way.
Yeah, and that's how I put this panel together, is like finding unique streamers. Everyone is unique and different and brings a different perspective to this panel. So, and that's why I've been very excited and been watching the clock tick every second today. um, yes, how about Kate?
I would say pretty much everything that Chase said. But in addition to that, uh, it is important to get yourself out there, as far as having a presence elsewhere on social media. I think is really important. A lot of our voices tend to get kind of drowned out because there are so many streamers, and you have to think about how to get eyeballs on you. And I do think it's important to be true to yourself, and because people will ultimately be there to watch you, but also, think about how to promote yourself, um, and sort of be loud in that way. I'm a pretty quiet person IRL, but online, I definitely try to promote myself wherever I can. On social media, to be consistent, have consistent posts out there so that you're showing up in people's timelines. If you're in front of people's eyeballs, basically, I think it can help that process. Followers can it's I don't think followers are the best metric, really, because they can be inflated super easily. And I think it's important to not focus on it too hard, like the follower number, but it is important to, um, growth is important. But there are other ways to measure that. It's not the only thing, of course, but I would say, yeah, having a presence on social media is pretty important these days. Um, Doing other things on other platforms, YouTube videos, having a podcast, getting your voice out there on different platforms is just overall pretty important too. I don't think it's required, but it definitely helps. So I would say that's how I help to grow my community a little bit, is to, put myself out there, network with other streamers, um, just make community, and just be social.
I definitely agree with that. That's how I've built my following in the software engineering network is just like you said, putting myself out there and being involved in everything and contributing and helping others and showing that putting others before me and showing that I care about the community and they make you a priority when you demonstrate that. Um, well, thank you.
Mhm.
And how about Chad?
So for me personally, going off of what Kate has said, just said, building a network and finding a network. I think that's for me. It's finding a network in a community that you personally feel comfortable in, that you can relate to on a personal level, and also share differences. I had to find my followers through people that I saw that, oh, they can give a different aspect that I can't give, and maybe that's what I need to learn. And just so happens, they would like me back, and just building a community and networking with other people that you feel that you can relate to, and showing the love, and they'll show love back, and just yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to join this panel is like I had a friend jumped into your stream after we played a game and he's like, "Oh, I really enjoy watching his stream. Like his community is really fun and they're just like so like exciting and caring and it's such a respectful community of in your chat. So I
Thank
love
you.
that. And Gabby?
Yeah, so I've actually been going through a little bit of just thinking about growth and what it means to me recently. And something I learned about myself is it's very easy to get caught up in the numbers. So, in addition to what everybody else said, I would recommend like taking a moment to sit down with like a pen and paper or whatever high tech solution people use for that nowadays and figure out what growth means to you. When I thought about it at the end of the day, even though a lot of it still seems to be tied up in numbers, it's not so much like how many people are watching or how many eyeballs. It's like how many people have I helped or have I been able to kind of reach out to and sort of establish that connection with. I think thinking about it in that way has really helped me refrain a lot of like the whole, oh, maybe I should be pushing more, or I need to, make sure that more people see my stream or whatever. Because that's not really what it is about at the end of the day. And you could easily look at other streamers, see what they're doing, see what their success is, and then like put that on you as like a mask almost. But at least for me, that's not really sustainable. And being able to think about growth in a way that matches with me and my goals and, my personality has allowed me to sort of figure out, one or two things that I want to work on. For me personally, this month, it's just getting more active on YouTube, for example, and like, establishing that as another content outlet for me. And then just sort of pick things off like that. Um, but I've also been trying to sort of establish myself a little bit more in that regard as well, since I have been pretty flaky in the past when it comes to streaming. But again, that's just one of my personal goals about this, and that's how I'm sort of defining growth and moving towards it.
Yes, thank you. And um, one thing I've noticed with like people who stream, like sometimes I'll like jump into different Twitch channels and then people will say like very toxic stuff in like in chats. Um, like how do all of you deal with like negativity or toxic people in your chat? And like how do you keep it cleaned up and build that like respectful community or whatever kind of community you're trying to build or vibe?
Well, I had a situation that actually two extremes actually happened last night. As a matter of fact, I had I have very lax rules when it comes to chat. I do ask people not to either speak on controversial topics or politics. I tend to feel that with our polarizing climate, the way the things are, let's try to keep some of that out of the community and try to foster some positiveness. And so someone came in and started spouting out some stuff, and it wasn't any vulgarness or anything like that. It was just some chat to try to jostle some feathers and get people riled up. And this happened on a live stream. And so I said, hey, hey, I really would appreciate it if you wouldn't do certain things and that sort of thing. And then basically, at a nutshell, I had to, lay the band hammer down, so to speak, and make that happen. But it's one of those situations where as long as you're clear with the audience and you're clear with everybody that's going on, then things tend to take care of themselves. And then on the other extreme end of it, thanks to the positiveness and the community and basically what I've done. And Gabby was right when talking about laying down goals and looking at sort of thing. When we're looking at numbers and subscriber counts and all these things, for me, it wasn't about a metric. It's just a matter of not losing the scope of the impact of what you do. I had somebody make a beautiful statement in the chat last night talking about, thanks to what they saw me do in streaming and community and the shows that I've done, they got involved in that passion and now are becoming very successful in doing what they do. And they said, well, it's thanks to you and the community. And to me, that's the most impactful thing of it all. For me, I don't care about the numbers. It's about, am I being a positive impact and helping people out in some way? And that's the way I try to handle those situations and try to foster that positive environment. And it's been very fulfilling and very good.
And as Gabby mentioned and you mentioned with like just breaking it down, that is kind of like the answer to the success of so many different areas. Just taking like the big picture, breaking it down into areas, and then breaking that down into small steps, and then just like kind of learning over time and working to that major goal. And you'd be surprised how organized and clear of a path you'll make yourself, just like having that well organized.
Yeah. And by the way, I apologize for what happened a few moments ago. I didn't realize I had an overlay on. And so if anybody saw or heard anything, I apologize on that.
I did not notice an overlay. What?
Oh, okay. Good. Maybe it was just on my end then.
Kind of sad I missed it now.
Was it
I got
pinballs?
derailed.
Was it pinballs like moving around back and forth on the video?
No, it was much more rudimentary, but it distracted me. I was just like, wait, oh crap, I forgot to turn something off. So apologies.
That actually brings me to a question. I'm looking at Twitch chat. Like, we don't all have to answer the same question. I'm going to scroll up. There's a lot of chat going on, which is great. I'm like scrolling up and up and up. Let's see. I don't know if anyone else has the chat open.
I do. There was a really good...
I found a good question.
Yeah.
How do you handle being stressed or overwhelmed during a stream? Does anyone have a recent experience?
Is it about the game or something else?
Yeah, I can speak to being stressed about games,
Probably,
but
I would say games, because I've, like some people just get really angry while playing a game if they're like constantly losing or think the other team's hacking or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who does a lot of competitive oriented content, a lot of it has just been learning my boundaries over the years. Like, I think that, like I said, I started streaming originally to sort of learn how to lose gracefully and not get stressed out. So I try to find the humor in as many situations as possible. Like just the other night, I was playing and something that had a 8% chance of happening happened. And after a certain point, I feel like I just let go and was like, okay, so this was terrible. I'm going to go get up and get some water. And then I'm going to come back and pretend like everything's fine. I mean, I think getting upset is okay. Like, as a competitive person, you value the game that you're playing a lot and you put a lot of passion into that. And sometimes that's just how your passion manifests. But I think it's important to make sure that you try and channel that energy into something more positive in the end. Like, even if you do get upset and I don't know, maybe you don't laugh it off, maybe you just say a bunch of tier 2 swear words, and then you kind of move on with your day. As long as you're not actively like harming anybody or targeting anybody specifically, saying like, oh, Joe Schmo's such a terrible player, I can't believe he did that, what a jerk, or something. I think that it's fine. And going back to the whole competitive aspect again, a lot of people, also share these passions. They also share these struggles. And, I find that sometimes even watching other people play competitive content, I learn, new coping mechanisms for myself when I get salty. So, but it's just important to learn, where those boundaries are. And like, I haven't had this happen in probably 6 months, but if I do ever hit a point where I know that, okay, this energy is no longer positive, I need to take a step back, I need to center myself, I'm just honest with my community. And I say, look, this is just not my night. I apologize. I'm cutting stream. And then I go do something nice for myself. Usually it's like a nice bath or, hot chocolate, all that fun stuff. And come back to it the next day, because your community's there for you, your community's there to support you just as much as you're there to support them, and they'll understand if you need to take time for yourself for those kind of reasons.
And I fully support just taking a moment, even just doing it every day to just relax, maybe taking a walk and just like clearing your mind. Because sometimes you just get so like over involved mentally and you don't really think about like what's going on. So
Yeah.
definitely.
I think it's definitely important to take breaks, even if it's during stream, whether you need a mental breather or you need to take care of yourself physically, you need to eat, you need to drink. Some streams go on for so long, and it's easy to get really caught up in what you're doing that next thing you know, like you've been sitting in one place for 5 hours, which is not healthy. I would say, as a body painting streamer, I face a lot of stressful situations from chat, especially. My mod team is pretty strong, and we have a guidebook. I literally wrote a guidebook for the mod team. So there are sometimes pretty stressful situations. And what I do if something is just pretty overwhelming, I put my break screen up and I take a breather. I just let my mods know what I'm doing, and I take a 5, just breathe, and get back to it, stretch, whatever I need. I think whether you're playing a game or a painting or whatever you're doing, it's important to take those breaks and just take care of yourself, look out for yourself for sure.
And
Um,
and those kind of tie into a streamer's question. Someone asked, like, how do you find time to hydrate? Seriously, nobody hydrates. And I'm super guilty of that. Like, what do you do to
Same.
like stop and think like, oh, I should drink some water?
I have a
Cheers,
I have a
everybody.
timer. I have a command in my channel that my mods use that say break time.
I
And
like that. A bot.
yeah, they say there is a hydration bot, and my mods will say, "Wait, Kate, take a break." Every 2 hours, I have a scheduled break so that I'll obviously take a drink or whatever in between then, but at the very least, I'll be taking a break every 2 hours because I usually go about 7 to 10 hours sometimes. So it's just
That should be a
take
required
breaks.
that should be a
Yeah.
required bot for every possible collaboration
Mm-hmm.
tool out
Yeah.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Needs to be a default one. Okay, I will scroll down and look for another question, unless someone wants to bring up something else.
Just a tip about hydration that I found really helpful. I read this at like on a work help blog, so it's not about streaming, but just make sure you always have water bottles within reach. I find that as long as I don't have to get up and like do something, then I'm more likely to just kind of absentmindedly, take sips when I need to. This sometimes means I'll have like 3 water bottles near my computer, which is kind of dangerous, but I stay hydrated and I haven't knocked anything over yet, knock on wood.
That's a great tip.
That's good. Someone asked, streaming 10 hours a day on a schedule seems like a huge investment, or some people stream a lot more than 10 hours a day. How do you handle keeping a schedule with balancing other important things like regular sleep and exercise and keeping up with a relationship? How have you promoted balance?
Well, I want to jump in on this as one of the elders of the group. You know, life is big, right? There's a lot of things going on in life outside of streaming and gaming and tech. And so for me, it's always been, you know, you got to take care of yourself first. You got to have good mental health, good physical health, good diet, even though I'm guilty of that sometimes. And having those things in place. And then outside of yourself, then your immediate family, your wife, you got kids, dog, house, whatever, you know, that's that sort of thing. So for me, there's no way in the world, unless I was doing this full time, and I'm not, to do this 10 hours a day. I don't think you should set a schedule to yourself at all. Personally, I know that there are some tips and tricks out there that people have said, oh, set a schedule so people can find you and things like that. I'm probably in the camp of not agreeing with that. I say, you know, set a schedule to when you are feeling up to doing it. I know there are some people out there who really want to go full speed and get as much exposure as they can and get as many followers as they can, and they want to become partner as soon as fast as possible because you know they want to, you know, go that route. And you know that's great and that's positive, but uh, for me, I think, you know, you're setting yourself up to a lot of high stress situations if you don't achieve that goal or you don't get that partnership within your predetermined timeline. And also, you know, I'm very lucky to have a great wife that is very supportive, and great close friends that I've known from outside the streaming community that are supportive within that streaming community. And I say, you know, don't put extra pressure on yourself like that. Make sure you're taking personal health seriously, mental and physical. And when you have that stuff, then when you do stream, that's going to reflect positively to the community and to people who watch you, and they'll say, well, this guy's fresh, refreshed, and he's staying hydrated, and all right, he's pretty cool. So I say don't put the pressure on yourself about 10 hours a day doing a schedule. Have fun, take care of yourself, and everything will fall into place.
Oh, thank you for
May
answering that. Go
No.
ahead.
Okay.
may I answer as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
From my personal experience, I've had a lot of followers and viewers that are very persuasive in a way, saying, "Oh, just one more game," but at, by the by the end, it's 20 games later and it's 12 past 10 hours. I think another important thing to remember is to constantly remind your viewers, like, "Hey, we're all human. We we all have our personal lives," and try to remind them that it's okay to be mad on stream. It's okay to take breaks sometimes. So I think um, in the viewer aspect, I think constantly reminding them, you know, I have to take a break. It's for my own personal life, you know, and I hope you understand. And if you don't, I apologize. I will be back this and then. And just being honest and upfront with your viewers, I think is a good aspect in that field too, as well.
Yeah, I really like that advice. And I know there's like some people that's like, oh, I want to get into streaming, and I know I have to like build some like brand or facade. Like, what should I be? Like, just be yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be who you are. That's what people want to see, and that's kind of what, you know, we've all been learning from this panel here, and that kind of solidifies that thought. Um, but anyone else before I jump to the next streamer question? I mean, the Twitch chat question.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that really quick. As far as scheduling, um, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and so I have to schedule around, you know, my kids. A lot of people have their kids and their jobs and things like that. And I think it is important to make sure that, you know, you look at things realistically, lay everything out and see, okay, what time do I have, you know, in a healthy way? Like, you don't want to fill all of your free time outside of your stuff with streaming. And I would say my main advice is, it seems counterintuitive, but stream less. Um, so I had a schedule. I am a person who maintains a schedule. I think it's right for some people, and other people, I think it's like either way. I streamed for 4 days a week, or 4 days a week, about 4 hours per stream. before I started body painting. And I actually dropped a day to set aside as non-stream but stream focused work. Work is maybe not the right word, but working on social media, admin things behind the scenes, kind of looking into the other stuff that you might want to do surrounding your stream. So it turned out that it worked out better for me to stream less. Some people want to go every day as hard as they can, all the time. And it's not always realistic to do that. It's exhausting. And you want to give people a chance to miss you too. Um, I found that that helped me a lot as far as balance is look at your life overall and what's healthy for you and you'd be surprised that streaming a little less actually has a bigger impact for sure.
Yeah, I like that. That definitely really helps with balancing everything else on top of that. All right. There are a few other questions. There's a lot of questions coming in. Now that someone asked, I actually missed this person's question earlier. They said, "Why did you choose Twitch over Mixer?" Like to
What
me, I feel like I just use Twitch because it's something I'm familiar with and I know how to use it. But I'm sure everyone has a different perspective on that.
so
Mixer didn't exist when I started. So it was like just Twitch. And now I'm just on Twitch because that's where people know where to find me. So I've been taking the lazy approach for it.
That makes
yeah,
sense.
Pretty much the same. When
yeah.
I made a Twitch like when I made a Twitch account like in 2012 or something. I wasn't streaming for that long obviously, but that's just I think familiarity.
Yeah.
I guess this question might be for me. I started off with a Mixer first. I think it was maybe a good week or so, but I wrote my pros and cons for Mixer, and then I wrote my pros and cons for Twitch. And specifically for Mixer, I saw that there was a smaller community and a better chance of growing, and then a Twitch community as a bigger community and a less chance of growing rapidly. Um, and from that, I saw from personally, I'm very, very competitive. And so I wanted to work hard. I wanted to make sure that my viewers saw my progress in my FPS training and just my growth in general. And so I chose Twitch because I love a challenge and I wanted to grow and see where I took off from that.
And I feel like I have a lot to learn from you when it comes to FPS training. You've already recommended really good software for that I still haven't even loaded up to use. So, but I saw you using the program. Like, that's amazing. That's why your shots are always like on point. Have a lot
Thanks.
of improvement there.
I went with Twitch because like Gabby, that's all there was. Actually, because I'm old again. I'm gonna use that line for a couple times now. It was Justin TV. And that's all there was. There was really, and then there was Ustream. I was using Ustream for a bit back in the day. But then, obviously, once Justin TV, made the flip and started pushing content towards Twitch, the gaming side of stuff, I stuck with it, and I've been there pretty much ever since. Now, I have dabbled with all the other providers out there, Facebook Gaming and YouTube Gaming and Mixer, and while some of those other communities are good for certain people, I found personally that since I'm not doing a lot of the big mainstream stuff because, like all of us, we do want to get some discoverability and not get lost in the noise. But I also found that, like, on some of the communities, if I was playing a game that may not be as popular or mainstream on a different service like Mixer, uh, the likelihood of someone stumbling across your stream is very, very small and minimal. And so for me, I just wanted to try to foster a little bit of growth, not huge growth. And you go with the big boy. You go with Twitch, and obviously, Twitch has improved and made some changes through the years, and helped try to foster communities within communities, and that's where I'm at.
Thank you. I wonder if there's a way to stream from Twitch to Mixer, unless they like put a block between those two. No integration between the two allowed.
There's ways you can do it, technically speaking,
Yeah.
where you basically have your computer output two streams, and then
Mhm.
there are also services you can pay for that'll do that for you. But it's not something I'd recommend for a beginner, just because it's way too complicated.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean there are those third party services. I would say though, as a precaution to those that are thinking about doing that, is especially if you're in the Twitch ecosystem, if you've dived in and become an affiliate, or you've become a partner, there are restrictions and limitations to doing that. They don't allow you, for example, to do a multi stream simultaneously. You can't say do Twitch and Mixer at the same time to try to increase your exposure. Now, granted, if you're just starting out, you could do that. If you're not partnered or affiliated in any way, you could subscribe to one of those multi-streaming services, stream to everybody at the same time, and then just see where it goes. If you get more people on one platform, you may consider going to that platform or not. It's really your call on that. But just bear in mind, you don't have to. And I want to be clear to people watching this, getting started. Like, oh man, if I'm going to get exposure, the only way I'm going to do it is by getting, no, I mean, just do what you feel is comfortable. If you want to make a small investment and try it out, great. But just know all the pluses and minuses before you get into something like that.
Yeah, and someone mentioned that it's terms of service against doing that. So that's good to know for others that
Yeah.
may be interested in that. Like, why not do both?
Right.
So, someone asked a question, and actually Gabby answered this earlier towards the beginning of the stream. When it comes to communities you've built up, was there a written out plan? Did you grow into it? Maybe a bit of both. Specifics, please. So it wasn't the specifics part, but you basically talked about laying out a plan to figure out like what is your goal? What is your end goal? What kind of growth are you looking at, and what do you want out of this? And but this person wants specifics on. Is that
Yeah,
something you can
I
share?
can. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not really secret or anything. If it was, I would have patented or something, I guess. But for me personally, so to give you some context, the competitive Pokemon community is fairly tight knit as it is. So, when it came to like deciding what I wanted my community to look like, I did a lot of retrospection on what I wished I had back when I was starting out as a competitive Pokemon player, and I tried to fill in those gaps. So a lot of my like content has always been tried to be as approachable as possible. I try to explain what I'm thinking. I try to explain like this is why I do XYZ over ABC, for example. And then I've tried to make all the resources that I use sort of handy when it comes to in the context of my stream. So then I can just say, hey, you're just starting out, use this command in chat, follow that rabbit hole, and, if you like what you see, you're always welcome to come back and chat with us about what you're thinking and those kind of things. So a lot of it was, again, just sitting down and writing down a list of what I wished existed and then just doing what I could to slowly fill in that gap. And I found that a lot of people not only really appreciated that, but they actually hang out now and they help when someone new comes in as well. So it's just kind of, sort of cycled over the years and just grown into something that's really supportive overall, which I think is really great. Everybody remembers how they felt when they started, regardless of what you're talking about. So being able to sort of pay back and be that support for someone else who needs it, I think is pretty rewarding. And a lot of people really appreciate having an environment that makes it easy for them to do that.
Thank you for answering that. Um, Someone is asking about resources on getting started with streaming. I know there's like a lot of tutorials out there. Did anyone find a really easy process of of doing all of this? And if you only have interest in doing streaming for charity, like what are resources with that? So this person seems very serious on starting this now.
I wish honestly I had resources when I got started. You know, in the early days of doing all this, unless you had large amounts of money uh, to get the equipment that you needed to have a good, I would say not even just a basic production. You know, back in the day, it was a little expensive, especially to have even a decent quality webcam. Now you can get one for like $50. You know, they're not too pricey. But back then, if you wanted just like a 720p webcam, you know, that set you back $150, $200, something like that. And so, and there were no how-to guides, no tutorials, no anything. And so, for me, it was networking. It was talking to people. It was not being afraid to send an email or try a tweet and hope that somebody will respond and be kind and point you into the right direction. All of course, back in the day, there was still YouTube, and so there were people on YouTube, you know, putting out some tutorials, and I was able to take those tutorials and try to, you know, make them fit towards me, to the cheaper parts towards me. So I would say, you know, nowadays, of course, there's some great tutorials and great things that people have written, but I would say, you know, a generic search on YouTube. Don't be afraid to reach out to your favorite streamer too. If they have good, positive communities and discords, and people will should be always thankful and helpful. And I would say don't be afraid to do that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, and with tech stuff, like everyone has their own like suggested items. And I noticed like every streamer has like a different microphone. Do you have like a recommended microphone that you're crazy about or wish that you purchased? I know everyone has like a similar webcam and other similar setups, but like what is your favorite microphone of all time for streaming?
So I guess I'll start. I actually came across a Yeti Blue microphone. I got it for free through volunteering at something, and it's a long story, but that was again around when I started streaming, and I believe it only runs about $100, and it's held up pretty well until now. I would say, like, you know, pick something that you can afford. Obviously, free is great, but you know, the thing, especially about audio, is that it's such a rabbit hole. You can keep kind of throwing money at upgrades forever, but pick something that you can afford at first and that will last you a while so that you can decide if this is something you actually want to stick with. And then slowly sort of, you know, pick your upgrades. Like if I could have my dream audio setup, it would include like an XLR microphone, probably like a Shure, since I've had good experience with their SM58s. I think those are pretty nice. But I couldn't afford that, and this microphone still seems to be working okay, so I can't really justify replacing it yet. And you know, it gets the job done, so I can't complain.
It's a common question that I get a lot when like helping other people get set up with streaming, and I'm doing that for others because when I first started like playing around with Twitch, someone else like said like, "Oh, I'll help you with your whole setup. Let me show you how all this works." Like with it was like 5 years ago, it was with like Streamlabs, not Stream Labels plus OBS, so kind of the older style setup. And I'm like, oh, this is so complicated. Then I just discovered just recently in the last week that there's Streamlabs OBS that kind of combines all of that together, and it's so much easier to use. Um, but we are running out of time. If we want to jump to any like final advice you want to give to the audience, we have a couple minutes left.
Mine really boils down to two words: just have fun. Uh, don't lose scope of that. You know, have fun with whatever you choose to do. You know, and make sure and don't worry, don't stress. You know, there's too much of it in the world right now, and this is supposed to be a fun, welcoming, and community driven platform. And I would say just make sure you're having fun with what you're doing, and I think everything else usually will fall into place. Sometimes it'll take longer timelines to do than others, but at the end of the day, just make sure you have fun.
Thank you. And any other final comments, final advice? That basically sums it up, though. Just have fun. Just be
Yeah.
yourself. Just be honest. Just be you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
should be like
I
a
would also
tagline.
Yeah, I would also say don't be afraid to start small. See if you like it, see if you are having fun, and then, build from there. Not everybody hits the ground running necessarily. It's okay if you want to, just stream for the heck of it to your 3 friends who are scattered across the country now because of the way the world is, from your laptop with your webcam or whatever. Like
Right.
you don't have to have a professional setup. No one's going to gatekeep you. Just make sure that you're doing it and having fun, and then see where things go.
Well, thank you. And thank you everyone for your time and taking your time away today to be on this panel and to help other people interested in building their brand and following in on Twitch. It's going to mean a lot to a lot of people, and they're going to take a lot of these comments and suggestions you made very seriously. And this video will be also saved on the LANFest YouTube. Thank you for the viewers who tuned in on this, and I'm going to cut it at this. So thank you very much, and I will. Don't forget to follow them all on Twitch. I posted all their links in the Twitch chat. So thank you. Bye.
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 Hey,
Bye.
everyone.
Hey.